how does a startup that promised to completely revolutionize mental health end up slapped with a $1.2 million fraud lawsuit?
Right, especially when it's backed by Selena Gomez, who is literally one of the most followed women on the planet.
Exactly. It's just a jarring contrast.
It really is a profound departure from that highly curated PR narrative they initially pitched.
Welcome to today's deep dive, everyone. For those of you listening, our mission today isn't just to, sift through celebrity gossip.
No, not at all.
We are dissecting the anatomy of a high-profile startup gone disastrously wrong. We'll be navigating these explosive legal allegations involving a supposed fake charity turned corporate disaster.
And bizarre workplace behavior.
Right.
Plus a very fractured mother-daughter dynamic at the center of it all, involving Selena and her mother, Mandy Teefey.
Right. It's a highly specific cautionary tale.
It is. It explores this intersection of complex family dynamics, massive wealth, and the real legal obligations of fiduciary duty in startups.
To set the tone for what we are looking at here, imagine you buy a VIP ticket for a luxury cruise.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
You've been promised top-tier entertainment, world-class dining, like the works. But when you finally get on board, you find out the captain is locked in her cabin watching sitcoms.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the crew has abandoned ship, and honestly, the boat hasn't even been fully built yet.
That is a perfect analogy.
That is essentially the baseline of what investors are alleging happened with this company, which was called Wondermind.
To understand the mechanics of this alleged collapse, we really have to look at the initial transaction. So in September 2022, investors wired $1.2 million into Wondermind.
A massive seed round.
Huge. And the pitch they received was that this entity was going to become a profitable, one-of-a-kind mental health and wellness platform.
Right.
But the lawsuit fundamentally alleges that this pitch was just a mirage. It was built on false representation.
We are talking about allegations of virtually no infrastructure and no real leadership.
Exactly. When you raise a seed round of over $1 million, the expectation is that those funds are immediately deployed to build the actual product.
Yeah, you start coding, you build the app.
Right. But the promised tech platform, the app at the core of the business model, was reportedly never even built.
Which is just wild to think about. How do you raise that kind of money without a prototype?
Well, when a company's doing that, they have to sell a vision and the capability of their network.
Ah, right, the name dropping.
Exactly. The lawsuit claims the founders used this specific psychological lever to lure investors, basically proximity to extreme influence.
They allegedly hinted at partnerships with this massive roster of names. I mean,
Yeah.
We're talking Tim Cook, Elton John,
Drake, Megan Thee Stallion.
Camila Cabello. It's insane.
It really is. And it creates an immediate sense of FOMO, fear of missing out, for anyone with a checkbook.
Oh, for sure. If you're an investor and you hear that the CEO of Apple or an icon like Elton John might be involved, it completely bypasses your normal critical thinking process.
It artificially inflates the perceived safety of the investment. It creates this assumption of prior due diligence.
Like someone else already did the homework.
Exactly. An investor thinks, well, if these industry titans are adjacent to the project, somebody with a fleet of lawyers must have already vetted the business model.
But according to the lawsuit, that network support never actually materialized.
Not at all.
And instead of updates or, progress reports, the reality for these investors was just dead silence.
Complete silence. For 3 entire years, the founders allegedly stayed quiet as the company collapsed around the investors' money.
Which brings us to Selena's official role. She was billed to investors as the head of marketing.
Right.
Yet the lawsuit claims she completely ignored the functional obligations of that title.
She put the company in her Instagram bio.
Right, but despite having hundreds of millions of followers, she did zero active promotion for it.
The disconnect between the assigned corporate title and the actual execution is glaring there.
Yeah, I mean, the responsibilities of a marketing executive, especially in an early-stage startup, require aggressive daily brand building.
Absolutely.
But wait, I struggle with this part of the narrative. We know Selena Gomez runs Rare Beauty.
Her makeup brand, yeah.
It's incredibly successful. It dominates the industry. So she is undeniably business savvy.
She is.
So it's hard to believe she would just passively let a venture with her name on it be so utterly mismanaged right out of the gate. Like, what are we missing here?
Well, we have to separate the halo effect from operational reality.
The halo effect.
Yeah, it's a cognitive bias where success in one area influences our judgment of someone's capabilities in a completely unrelated area.
Okay, that makes sense.
Success in cosmetics is highly structured. You have massive supply chain partners, established manufacturing giants, retail distributors doing the heavy lifting.
Right, rare beauty isn't operating out of a garage.
Exactly. But that does not translate to the unstructured, gritty world of building a tech platform from scratch.
So because investors saw her successfully selling blush and highlighter, they just assumed she had the operational chops to build a mental health tech startup.
Investors often see the halo of financial success and skip the tedious questions about logistics.
They assume the celebrity is the engine.
Exactly, when in reality, the celebrity is usually the hood ornament on a very complex machine built by seasoned operators.
Wow. And in the case of Wondermind, the allegations suggest that the underlying machine simply did not exist.
It just wasn't there.
So if the business wasn't building an app and they weren't forming these celebrity partnerships, what was actually happening inside Wondermind's headquarters?
This is where things get truly bizarre.
The allegations point the finger directly at the company's sole leader, which is Selena's mother, Mandy Teefee.
And this is where the corporate narrative deteriorates from a standard business failure into a deep breakdown of management structure.
Mandy was acting as the sole CEO.
Yes, and the details alleged here are way beyond the scope of a normal failing startup.
Yeah, the lawsuit claims Mandy treated the office as a personal refuge from her home life in Woodland Hills. She lives there with her husband and preteen daughter.
Right.
But instead of making the 20-mile commute, she would reportedly just sleep at the office.
The physical workspace basically ceased to function as an incubator for a product.
Yeah.
It morphed into an escape hatch for the executive.
And the working conditions described by the staff totally reflect that shift. We are talking about a modern, glass-walled office environment.
Which means everyone sees everything.
Exactly. Through the glass, employees allegedly watched Mandy watching the comedy show Schitt's Creek on a flat-screen TV right in the middle of the corporate workday.
Just consider the psychological impact of that on the workforce.
I can't even imagine.
Employees show up expecting to build a revolutionary wellness platform. Instead, they are a captive audience to the CEO's personal television consumption.
It immediately signals that there is no urgency, no mission.
And no accountability.
It paints a picture of isolation, too. Her office was reportedly littered with takeout boxes, McDonald's, Krispy Kreme, Chinese food.
It's piling up.
Yeah, accumulating to the point where staffers said it was actively gathering flies.
That is just, it's incredibly bleak.
But the allegations move from bizarre behavior to severe financial mismanagement. The lawsuit claims investor money was wasted on luxury goods.
Massive Amazon hauls.
Yes, and $40,000 dropped at Neiman Marcus. I have to ask, how does that physically happen?
How do you spend $40K of startup money on clothes?
Right. How does an executive just take money earmarked for software development and spend it on designer bags without alarms going off?
It comes down to corporate governance. Or in this case, the alleged complete lack of it.
No oversight.
Exactly. When investors wire $1.2 million for a seed round, that money lands in a corporate bank account. In a mature company, you have a CFO.
The chief financial officer, right.
You have strict expense approval workflows, a board of directors auditing the cash burn. But early-stage startups are often tightly controlled by the founders.
So there are literally no built-in guardrails?
Often.
It's like hiring a contractor to build a house, giving them the full budget up front, and just never visiting the construction site.
Yep. And you only realize there's a problem 3 years later when you show up to an empty dirt lot. But the contractor is driving a brand new sports car.
Man.
The primary legal check on a sole founder's behavior is called fiduciary duty. It's the legal obligation to act in the best financial interest of the company and its shareholders, not yourself.
Right.
Routing company funds into personal luxury consumption is a direct breach of that duty.
Right.
But if there is no active board reviewing the ledgers, it essentially functions on the honor system.
Until the money runs out or an investor demands an audit.
Exactly.
And the allegations regarding the workplace environment get much darker than takeout boxes and shopping sprees.
They really do.
Staffers claim they saw Mandy snorting a pill-like substance, which they believe to be Ritalin, right in her office.
Yeah.
The allegations also detail her receiving liquid Benadryl and vitamin Hy-V drips from workplace nurses just to bounce back and keep functioning.
These are severe claims. They point to an environment entirely stripped of its foundational purpose.
Yeah, the mechanisms of a healthy corporate structure were allegedly replaced by a system designed just to sustain the CEO's personal crises.
Under the guise of business operations.
It's tragic. And when an investor finally did confront Mandy about the missing $1.2 million, the response was incredibly telling.
Oh, absolutely.
She allegedly fired a coworker to shift the blame and then deflected the investor entirely. She told them to go talk to Selena's legal team.
Which highlights the structural black hole of this entire company.
Right.
When pressed for accountability, the sole executive allegedly deflected responsibility upward to an individual who, operationally, was supposed to be her subordinate in the marketing department.
But who functionally held all the actual power and the financial backing.
Exactly.
Which naturally leads us to the core mystery of this entire situation. Why was Mandy left completely unchecked to run this company into the ground?
We have to look at the deeply strained relationship between the co-founders to understand that.
Because they aren't just business partners, they are mother and daughter.
Right. The interpersonal history between these two women heavily informs the resulting corporate structure. You cannot separate the business failure from the family dynamic.
Here is the necessary context for their relationship. Mandy was a teen mom. She gave birth to Selena at 16.
Yeah.
As Selena's star rose, Mandy acted as her manager. She even secured a role as a producer on the hit television show 13 Reasons Why.
Which was a massive deal.
But eventually, Selena fired her mother from that management role.
And navigating the transition from parent to talent manager to being terminated by your own child, it creates an incredibly fraught psychological landscape.
Oh, I can only imagine. The staffers at Wondermind felt that tension constantly. They noted a remarkably cold atmosphere between the two women.
They didn't interact like family members.
No, or even like standard corporate co-founders. One staffer explicitly stated they interacted like two women who put up with each other.
That dynamic suggests an environment built strictly on obligation. There was proximity without shared vision or mutual respect.
It gets even more contradictory, though. Mandy would constantly emphasize to the staff that Wondermind was completely independent of Selena.
Right, drawing a hard professional line.
But the entire company relied almost exclusively on Selena's wealth, status, and name recognition just to exist in the marketplace.
Asserting operational independence while being entirely structurally dependent is just an unsustainable contradiction.
Which brings us to the prevailing theory among the staff and outside observers.
And this is the most fascinating part to me.
The theory is that Selena was entirely disinterested in the actual day-to-day business of a tech startup.
Right.
Instead, she allegedly created Wondermind simply to give her mother a high-paying job, a title, and most importantly, a distraction. Basically to keep Mandy out of her immediate personal orbit.
Attempting to solve a complex relational problem using a corporate structure is a recipe for absolute disaster.
Yeah.
When you mix unresolved family trauma with fiduciary duties owed to outside investors, the priorities are entirely misaligned from day one.
It sounds like setting up a multi-million-dollar corporate decoy.
A decoy, exactly.
Yeah, like buying your kid a fake steering wheel for the passenger seat so they think they're driving. Except this steering wheel cost $1.2 million of someone else's money.
And came with massive legal liabilities.
Exactly. It makes you wonder, was Wondermind less of a calculated scam and more of an incredibly expensive family management tactic that just got totally out of hand?
The irony is striking. You have a corporate entity founded with the explicit mission of addressing public mental health.
Right.
While the individuals running it are allegedly suffering from profound, unaddressed interpersonal and psychological issues of their own.
They were trying to export wellness to the public while internally drowning in dysfunction.
Exactly.
And when the venture capital funds eventually dried up and employee paychecks started bouncing, it was reportedly Selena who had to quietly step in. She paid the employees' salaries out of her own pocket.
Her stepping in as the ultimate financial backstop further reinforces the theory that this was an exercise in family management.
It really does.
The entity was supposedly independent, but when the corporate veil fractured, the underlying dependency was immediately exposed.
So with all of this internal dysfunction spilling out into a public courtroom, we have to examine the fallout. How are these two women navigating a $1 million fraud lawsuit and the very messy collapse of their brand?
We must be absolutely clear here that Mandy Teefey vehemently denies all of these allegations.
Yes.
Her legal defense frames these claims as fabrications.
She has publicly called them lies spread by disgruntled employees with an axe to grind, and she has actively blamed the media for amplifying falsehoods.
which is standard crisis communication. We are just reporting impartially on the claims outlined in the lawsuit and the defense's public stance.
Exactly. But observing the mechanics of their crisis communication is highly revealing.
It has been incredibly erratic.
Very. While fighting a massive fraud lawsuit, Mandy recently posted a late-night, seemingly wine-fueled photo on Instagram of her daughter.
Oh, the Instagram post.
Yeah. In the caption, she complained about being thrown in the trash by them.
Wow.
When her followers started questioning her mental state in the comments, she quickly backpedaled. She claimed it was just a mom's not cool joke.
From a pure PR perspective, broadcasting emotionally charged family grievances on social media during an active security fraud lawsuit is disastrous.
It's not a good look.
It actively undermines the defense's attempt to project stability and competence.
And Selena's response to the mounting pressure has followed a very different but very familiar pattern. She recently announced yet another mental health break from social media.
It is a withdrawal tactic we have seen her employ frequently during times of intense public scrutiny.
Yeah, or personal controversy. But the court of public opinion has been brutal.
I bet.
Critics are accusing both women of exploiting the very real concept of mental health for personal profit. They are being widely labeled as scammers.
That's a heavy label.
And because the internet rarely forgets, people are dragging up all of Selena's past highly publicized dramas, like her 12-year narrative with Justin Bieber.
Right.
They are using this lawsuit as supposed proof of a long-term pattern of manipulation.
Well, when a brand is built almost entirely on concepts of vulnerability, authenticity, and mental wellness, an accusation of fraud creates an exponential backlash.
The public views it as a deep betrayal of trust, not just a business failure.
Exactly. Meanwhile, the plaintiffs in this case aren't just making noise for the tabloids.
No, they're demanding a jury trial for security fraud, and they want their $1.2 million investment returned in full.
The legal mechanics here represent an existential threat to their brands.
How so?
If this proceeds to a public jury trial, the discovery process will unearth internal emails, bank statements, text messages.
Oh, all the dirty laundry.
All of it.
Yeah.
It could permanently damage their carefully curated public image.
So even if they settle?
Even if they are forced into a quiet, multi-million-dollar private settlement to make this go away, the veneer of celebrity philanthropy has been severely fractured.
It pulls back the curtain and reveals the deeply messy, chaotic human reality operating beneath the shiny surface of these high-profile initiatives.
It does.
So why does all of this matter to you, listening right now?
It's a great question.
If you've ever backed a Kickstarter simply because your favorite YouTuber endorsed it, or bought a product because an influencer swore by it, this is a massive cautionary tale.
It forces a critical examination of the extreme risks of mixing family dynamics with business obligations.
Yeah.
Furthermore, it should challenge every investor to reconsider the blind trust they place in the halo effect of famous names. Due diligence cannot be outsourced to a celebrity's follower count.
Well said. We started today by talking about buying a VIP ticket on a luxury cruise.
A cruise analogy, right?
You see the glossy brochures, you recognize the famous face of the captain smiling on the billboard, and you hand over your money, assuming someone, somewhere, has made sure the ship actually floats.
Right.
But the reality is, sometimes the boat hasn't even been built, and the captain is fast asleep at the wheel.
The presence of extreme wealth and fame does not automatically generate competence or operational stability.
No, it doesn't.
Often, it merely masks the absence of both.
Which leaves us with this final thought to mull over. We generally assume that when investors pour money into a startup, they are buying a slice of a future product, an app, a service, a technology.
That's the traditional model, yeah.
But in the modern attention economy, what if the product they're actually buying is just the illusion of proximity?
Wow.
If you invest $1 million hoping to get into a text thread with Tim Cook or Selena Gomez, and the mental health app is essentially just the cover charge for that access.
Are you really a victim of corporate fraud?
Right. Or did you just buy a very expensive high-risk lottery ticket that simply didn't pay out?